On to the next topic. Jeff Hafley is finalizing his staff. Now, we just got some big news within the last hour that Nathaniel Hackett, who is planning to be our quarterbacks coach with only a week on the job, has now left the Miami Dolphins to take the offense coordinator position with the Arizona Cardinals. So that's huge. Now, Jeff Hafley has to refill that position. However, that's not that, as much as it is a big of a deal in terms of experience that he brought, it's not as big of a loss. And as some Dolphin fans may not have been happy about the hire, overall, he was still a really good quarterback coach. But we're going to get right into it here. Let's start with the offensive side. Bobby Slowick is our offensive coordinator. Now, this is an experienced staff, okay? So we're going to go through the coaches by order offense and then defense, and then go through the experience they have. He has 2 years experience as an offensive coordinator. He is returning from last year's team where he was the senior pass game coordinator. He has 12 years in the league total. So, like we said, a lot of experience. He's worked his way up. He was on the defense side of the ball. Now he's on the offensive side of the ball. Really good to have that combo. It was Nathaniel Hackett, but we're not going to talk about him since he is no longer on the team. Let's go to the running backs coach, Ladell Betts. He is a former running back, played in the National Football League. He's got 4 years experience as a running backs coach. He coached Caleb Johnson, and he also coached Cam Scadaboo. He was with the Giants last year, helping Cam Scadaboo adjust to the National Football League, and everyone knows what Cam Scadaboo could do. And then he coached Caleb Johnson while he was at Iowa for 3 years. He also had former experience in high school, getting his way up from running backs coach to offensive coordinator to head coach at high school, and then he went and made the jump to college. Now let's get to wide receivers. Tyke Tolbert, 20-plus years experience, all as a wide receivers coach. So that's really good for a group that consists of Jalen Waddle, Malik Washington, Taj Washington, and now the newest member in Terrence Marshall Jr. We're going to offensive line now. Zach Yenser. He is 5 years experience as an offensive line coach. He's really not had the offensive line coach. He's not been the top guy yet. He's been more of an assistant. However, now he's getting his full job. He does have a relationship with Bobby Slowick because he was an offensive line coach there in Houston with 2 years experience, and then he was an assistant for 3 years as well. Because Yenser also came from San Francisco with Bobby Slowick when he came over to Houston when D'Amico Ryans, who's the head coach of Houston, brought him over. The assistant is Matt Applebaum. This is his second stint in Miami. He has 5 years experience. He came over back from Boston College where he was with Jeff Hafley. So experience there. We talked about Zion Johnson, Ozzie Trapilo. So some of these offensive line guys that came from Boston College that have done really well at the next level have been developed by Matt Applebaum. So we'll see how well. I think that's a good offensive line pairing. We'll see how it ends up turning out. But so far, the offensive side, really experienced. We'll see. We obviously have to see how it plays out. On defense coordinator Sean Dugan. He was the Packers linebackers coach. Now, 11 years experience total, 0 as a defense coordinator. Now, a lot of them say I think we should have somebody with experience. However, because Hafley is calling the plays, we don't necessarily need a defense coordinator that's calling plays. So he doesn't need to have any kind of experience. Now, would it help if he did? Yes, but ultimately he's going to be working with the players on the sideline during the game while Hafley is the one calling plays. So that's what Dugan's role is really going to be in helping game plan a little bit, but ultimately that's his role. Defensive line is Austin Clark. He is returning from last year. He has 6+ years as experience as a defensive line coach, helping develop Zach Sealer, Zeke Biggers, Chop Robinson, Bradley Chubb, and Jalen Phillips. The assistant is Chuka Naduli, I believe is how he says his name is. He's got 3+ years experience as a offensive line coach. He is defensive line coach, so he's an assistant. Ultimately, we talked about experience there, 3+ years. That's going to really help out Austin Clark and just all that knowledge that these players can soak up, especially when we talk about building through the draft and having a younger version of a team. Linebackers coach Al Washington came over from Notre Dame, 11 years in experience. So he has 11 years experience in college as a linebackers coach. He worked his way up, took him from Notre Dame. Another linebackers coach is Joe Barry, who's returning as well. He's got 13 years at the position. So 13 years experience, 21 years in total. So ultimately, when you're looking at the experience as a whole, you're looking at 32 years experience between the two linebackers coaches. So that's really good for the Miami Dolphins. Cornerback is Jamil Adi, 5 years experience at the position, 18 years total. Came over from Buffalo, and we saw how good Buffalo's unit was last year at the cornerback position, especially with an older group, also helping develop some younger guys. Defensive backs is Ryan Downyard, 3 years experience, and the assistant is Deshaun Sheed, 4 years experience. Sheed was actually a part of the Legion of Boom at one point in time of the Seattle Seahawks. So started getting into coaching. He's worked his way up a little bit. Was with us last year as well. So really good. A lot of good experience there. And defensive quality control assistant is Wendell Davis. He's got 7+ years experience in that role, 6 of them in the National Football League, coming over from the Green Bay Packers as well. Special teams coach is Chris Tabor, 14+ years experience as a special teams coordinator, 17 years in total. And just recently heard that when Jeff Hafley heard that he was available, he threw his list out the window and said, I want him. That's my guy. And when he said he's one of the best in the business, well respected. And when that happens, that's somebody you want. And Hafley knew what he wanted. He went and got it. So really experienced staff on hand. And for Hafley as a first-time NFL head coach, second-time head coach because he was the head coach at Boston College for 4 years. Ultimately, I think this is a really good start for Jeff Hafley. We talked about OC being important. Got Bobby Sloak. We don't really have to change much offensively from personnel and scheme-wise. Just hoping to build around what we have. Defensively, a lot of experience. So hopefully being able to build through the draft that experience. Not only do they have experience, but these guys, Hafley selected these guys for a specific reason. Not only are they able to coach, but they're able to teach and develop, which is something that was big on Hafley's list. And being able to get these guys to come in not only with the experience, but developing players and having a success of doing that ultimately makes it really good coaching staff, in my opinion. The quarterback's coach now has to be rehired now that we lost Hackett, which is going to be a huge loss. However, I think with Hafley, his track record of hires already has shown that he knows what he wants, and he's going to be able to get another guy in there that's going to be able to do the job just as well as Hackett would have been able to. But ultimately, we talked about an experienced staff. Hafley need to put together a really good staff to have success and to take a really good step forward in his first year, and I think he has done just that.